Getting started, Mr. Technician, on your cue. All right, thank you all for being here. City of Cotulla City Council will meet for a regular meeting on Thursday, June 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Alexander Convention Center, Conference Room 290, North IH 35, Access Road, Cotulla, Texas. This is an open meeting subject to open meeting laws of the state of Texas. Roll call. I believe we have Mr. Garcia. Did he call in?
He did. He had to work.
He had to work? I need a first motion to excuse Mr. Garcia.
Motion.
First motion by Mr. Lee. I think a second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor, say aye. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And what about Mr. Lopez? I believe he had to work also. I also need a first motion to excuse Mr. Lopez.
Motion.
First motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Well, everybody, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. City Council cannot discuss any present issue, nor may any action be taken on any given issue at this time. Ms. City Secretary, do we have anybody?
No.
Moving on to item number 5, Diplomatary and Committee Reports. Is anybody, Robbie, are you doing, Mr. Thomas, are you doing code compliance?
I have, Mayor,
You doing a report on that?
don't really have a report, but I've been just doing the duties, whatever Mr. Wright tells me to go and check. I've been going to the Dairy Queen. We've had a couple of stuff there. Some debris flew away over the weekend to a residence, and Mr. Wright called me, and I went to go talk to the manager, and the manager went and retrieved picked up all the papers and everything that was there.
Debris.
Other than that, I have talked to about 2 or 3 people or residents or owners of properties that all have overgrown grass, and they have been taken care of.
Excellent.
So I'm not really doing a lot, but if I get a service order, I try to go out there.
Thank you for that.
I have a question. I don't know, maybe you can answer,
Sure.
David. What category does or where does it fall on streetlights?
Streetlights?
Yeah. What
To
department?
date, code compliance has been working with the streetlights.
I know that there were several still on the list. I don't know how the status on.
Yeah, I don't have an update, being that we just hired a code enforcement officer and he hasn't actually started. On June 14th, he will start with the city, and we will start getting
Right.
after
Appreciate
that.
it.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, if
All right, thank you.
continue my, this is my Public Works monthly report. We demolished a church annex structure, or first of all, good evening, Mayor, Council Member, Mr. Wright. We demolished a church annex structure at 201 Stewart Street. The customer paid the demo fee. We also demolished a mobile home trailer at 1311 Live Oak Street. Also, the customer paid the fee. We also assisted the Parks and Recreation by mowing the grass at Veterans Park, Plaza Florita, and the Marquis Park. I've also designated Wednesdays for crews to pick up branches that are placed by residents on city easements, since the first collection is open on that day. Also, I want to give thanks to the county for assisting us in this joint task. Also, Mr. Martinez and I and my crew leader, Mr. Ramirez, have also been identifying the alleys that need to be cleared from high grass or debris for our garbage trucks to get through and collect the trash. That's my report.
Councilman, any questions for Mr. Thomas?
This one is for David.
Sure.
Is there a possibility that we can look into maybe planting some new trees for the city park and also for the other parks?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Because
We can
I've
look
seen
into it.
that there's some of them that are dying, so we're just wondering if we can start doing
I
that.
think pretty much maybe Martinez Park might need some of that, but I think for the most part, Veterans Park, do we have an ordinance from the Historic Commission that we
Um,
have to abide by for that?
Yes, we do, and I will take a look at that prior to making any decisions to plant the trees.
Yeah, and that involves any vegetation that we have on that, and then Plaza Florita is gonna take care of itself. We've been, as you know, we're working on getting that completely redone.
And on the Veterans Park, in regards to the electrical outlets that are on the wall, are they up to par right now? That you know?
I know they are usable. I would say that they are up to par as far as code. The availability of them may be a question. Do we have enough?
Can we look
I would
into
assume
maybe
that we don't.
improving all that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Thomas?
No, sir.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Thomas. Going to water and wastewater.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Wright. For the month of May, the Carrizo Wilcox aquifer level is sitting at 533 feet. We also used 26,387,000 gallons. Our daily demand was 879,567 thousand gallons. The Water Department has also been lowering service lines there on Front Street and on Dilly Lane due to the construction of the new water line in the street. And that's pretty much all I have on the water.
I got a question on that water well that's located by the courthouse. What's the status of that?
Right now, we're looking at putting in a pressure valve so we can utilize the system we have there, and we're just waiting on the final quotes on that. And we would have to send it out to TCQ and make sure it's to their standards.
So we came to the last month's meeting with the approval of a contract through Tetra Tech Engineering Service to design the bypass for that well, which will connect on the well site ahead of the high service pumps or booster pumps, and will traverse over to the ground storage tank to fill the ground storage tank.
So it's still going to be usable.
It will be usable. TCEQ requires us to do a few things, and one of them is have a couple sheets of plan that are stamped by an engineer to approve it. After that, I'm probably looking to do a force account where city staff will more likely do the work, because it's a small project. It's just got that we have to go through a panel before we start the project.
Is it still going to be pumping water from that well?
Potable water from the well?
Yeah.
No, sir. The well, more likely, I'm gonna have to come and request that the city plugs the well and abandons the well. So right now, there's holes in the casing, which water is falling from the higher aquifer down into.
Back to it.
That's right. So it's not able to be used at this point.
So we got how many water wells working right now?
We currently have 3 wells that are operational. 2 wells are running. One has a warranty repair that is pending for Wednesday next week.
That's the one in.
That's going to be the one by the fire station, well 9. So, but I expect that one to be a warranty repair.
Councilman, any other questions for Jimmy?
Maybe Jimmy or David can answer this. Sure. I know that the summer is coming, and don't know if the heat. I know it's going to be into 106, 105 give or take next week. It's going to get harder throughout the summer. And is there any way or anything that's going to affect the equipment, generators, or anything like that that you foresee that you may need help on?
Yes, absolutely. When the temperature goes up, the electrical aspect of all of our wells start to have issues. Over the years, we've put awnings over our electrical panels. We've put fans. Our newer panels are installed with air conditioning. Even at that, there's still going to be a chance because electrical components, they don't like heat. So there may be something that's a little older out there that may fail. It's pretty common every year that we run into these issues. Between wastewater and water, we have 9 lift stations in the city, and each one of them has multiple electrical panels, and not all of them have any kind of protection. We still have a few that need to have awnings over them or have fans installed.
So it can be checked in-house, or do you have to have a I guess contractor come and check it before?
Yeah, generally the mindset has been for several years is that we don't have licensed electricians on staff, so we would have an electrician come in.
Okay.
So of course they would be registered with the city and we would,
Right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
correct. You're welcome, sir.
Any other questions for Jimmy, Councilman?
No, sir.
Jimmy, thank you.
All right, on the wastewater, just a quick update on the sewer line project. The contractors are up near the hangar. They should be getting ready to finish that part of the sewer line and then begin doing the bore down 90 across 97 and then finish the one section that runs along 97 to 624. So that project is almost complete.
On that project that he's mentioning, has any problems occurred while they're burying that water line?
Yeah, the problems that were anticipated have happened. Airport Boulevard is very heavy with
Rocks.
large rock,
Correct.
and they had to slow down considerably to get through that point. I believe the contractor was saying that he was getting about between 30 to 60 feet a day of pipe in the ground on Airport Boulevard. He is currently still there. There was actually one resident also that has a property next to the prison, and he had some, his driveway received some damage. His fence received a little damage, and we have been working with the engineer and the contractor to rectify the issue.
So is that problem already been resolved, or is still working on that?
I would say that it is not resolved, in my opinion. There's still some issues with the fencing that needs to be rectified by the contractor.
Okay. So before the contract is finalized, y'all do
Absolutely.
the inspection and
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the contractors also, they have insurance, they're bonded, and if we'll go after the insurance. I mean, the complaint by the residents legitimate. I've seen it. I've been out there. And
Okay.
it's legitimate. So
appreciate that. Thank
yes,
you.
sir.
There's any other questions? I'll
No other questions.
all right. I'll finish off with the gas report. There were 3 leaks reported, and they were repaired the same day. On the Housing Authority valve replacement, as of May, 27 of the 60 have been replaced. Also, on the leak survey, all 70 leaks that were discovered have been repaired as of May, and we're waiting the new gas leak survey done to be completed later this month. And then the price of the gas for April was $3.20 per cubic foot. The amount of gas that was that proceeded through the city gate was 2,143 cubic feet of gas.
I'd probably like to speak about. Oh, we got a question.
Did we lock the price on their gas?
I have not yet. Yeah, and that's actually what I was going to speak about. As you can see in this report here, gas is currently at $3.20 per cubic foot. West Texas Gas is still asking $5.50 to $5.60 for a 3-year contract. It came to me that an option would be for us to try to get more leverage over West Texas was maybe to approach Dilley and Pearsall, because I was told that neither of the other 2 cities have a contract currently with West Texas, and maybe we could put our communities together and get some buying power. And I'm gonna attempt to do that and have conversations with them and see if it's reasonable and they want to do it.
For the same amount of percentage?
Well, I would hope with more people involved that the price would go down. So the consultant, not mine, but the city's consultant is actually saying that we should probably wait a little while longer before we sign a contract. He feels that the price may go down a little bit. He has also told me that the natural gas storages in the country are full, and there's nothing to force them to go empty anytime soon. So we may have stability in the market, and it's hard to say with world events, but right now that's the way they're feeling.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Sanitation. Mr. Martinez?
Good evening, Councilman, Mayor, Mr. Wright. The transfer station solid waste monthly report for 2023 for May. We had 21 total rollout trips to the landfill. Out of the 21, 16 were compactors, 229.20 tons of trash, 458,400 pounds of trash was picked up for residential and commercial. At the transfer station, we have 440 yarders, 63,540 pounds. We have one demolition house that weighed 12.39 tons, 24,780 pounds for the demolition. Also, we had our annual water sample that was submitted. That's something that's required by TCQ once a year, and that was submitted last week, and we're waiting for the results. And probably next month I'll give you the results on the annual water sample. We also have a cleanup this Saturday. It starts at 7 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or until the containers get filled.
Councilman, any questions for Mr. Martinez?
No, this is for David. Has
Sure.
anybody come and inspected our landfills or like an inspection?
The sanitation, the transfer station, there are periodic inspections. I believe you had one a year or two. It's been 4 years already.
Yes.
I remember them coming out. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yes, sir.
So TCEQ, they pretty much decide when they're going to come. They don't, they're not going to call them and say, hey, come on over. They're not going to do it that way. They'll call us and they say that they're going to come. Smaller municipalities, and I would assume for the size of your transfer station, if it has been 4 years, he's on a 5-year rotation. Water department, we're on a 1 year or 2 year rotation. Wastewater, we're on a 2 year rotation. So every year we get an inspection. So smaller systems would be fine.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Moving on to item animal control.
Good evening, council members, mayor, Mr. Wright. For the month of May, I had a total of 3 work orders, 7 dogs, no, not 7, it was between dogs and cats, but I didn't put down cats. There was 7 total adopted. I had 30 dogs rescued, also including cats. 1 dog that was returned to its owner. 8 deceased animals were picked up off the streets. 3 dogs were euthanized. Had a total of 13 dogs picked up for the month of May, and 4 animals between cats, possums, and raccoons were caught in traps. Kennels are cleaned and sanitized daily. Dogs are fed daily, and the grass is cut around the shelter and surrounding area. Any questions?
We still got people rescuing dogs and all
Yes,
that,
sir.
and animals, pets.
Yeah.
How many organizations do you have?
You know what? That's a good question. They have people outside of or inside their, I guess, organization, and they come get them, and then they'll like foster them, and then they send them out to rescue. So it's like multiple people.
That's good. I appreciate it.
I have one question. Is it, do you have it like where the animals are, is it cool enough for them? Or is it too hot for the animals?
I guess it varies because I have a fan in there, and then there's 4. I guess you can say like window flaps that are open, and beside, and other than that, the front end is open, so there's enough airflow to keep them.
So there's a breeze going through?
Yeah, at all times.
I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but to put a mister once in a while just to keep it cool. I don't know if that would work or not.
We can take a look at it. They're pretty readily available, I believe. So,
What's the status on the cage for the truck?
the animal control box, we received it, and it was how small, DJ? It was a foot too short or 2
I
feet.
think it was about 2 or 3 feet.
So when DJ went to Round Rock, they slid it into the truck, and it was too short. Prior to us agreeing to purchase it, we sent up the plan and the schematic for the truck. So the Dana Safety, they made a mistake. I told them at that time that we weren't going to accept it like that. They pulled it off. They sent it back to American Aluminum, the manufacturer, to go ahead and make a new one. They told me there'd be another probably 3 to 4 month wait, like we waited for the first one.
Right.
So, and then of course all costs would be paid by them.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Gonzalez?
No, sir.
Thank you very much for that report. I got Main Street. Ms. Karina, how are you?
Good, thank you for asking. Good evening. A quick overview of things that are happening with Main Street. First and foremost, as I've talked about in previous meetings, that we do have our facade improvement grant. And just this week, we have one property owner that's shown interest in applying for the grant as well as revitalizing the building. So we'll be working closely with the Texas Historical Commission design specialists to help us with preservation consultation, building property design recommendations, programming plus designing, planning, and signage to be able to revitalize that building. As far as promotion, the Cotulla Main Street Float will partake in the 4th of July parade with the advisory board members participating on the float. As far as organization, the Cotulla Main Street Advisory Board meetings take place the second Monday of each month at 6:15 p.m. as per the bylaws. And then our 4th of July celebration will take place on July 4th from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. at Veterans Park. The parade lineup does begin at 4:15 p.m. Los Palmas Boulevard, and it commences at 5 p.m. from Los Palmas Boulevard to Veterans Park.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Like on the directions you're sending for the parade, is there any way you can put it on the website?
Yeah.
And because I don't see a description here, but so the people in case they're asking. So
We
they know that item.
we usually put out like flyers and things like that to let people know, and then it is on the application.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And then also on Tuesday, June 20th, Cotulla Main Street will be hosting Texas Tropical Trail. Texas Tropical Trail is with the Texas Historical Commission. It's a sister organization to Main Street, and they do promote tourism. So they hadn't been here in Cotulla in a while, so they reached out, and we are hosting them for the entire day, and the itinerary is in your packet. Besides that, it's not in your report, but we did receive the marker inscription for the Florida Plaza official Texas historical marker to be approved. I know that it had been sent over to David, and then so that it can be sent over to the founders so that we can go ahead and receive it. I don't have a timeline of how long that's going to take, but as soon as we receive or get notice of that, I'll go ahead and let y'all know. Also, to end off my report, I know that in the last report, it was in the report, but I wanted to go ahead and highlight that we did receive our 2023 Main Street America accreditation. This is a national accreditation, and that happens whenever we follow and we meet the standards that are not only set on a national level, but also a state level. And whenever the city of Cotulla goes into contract with the Texas Historical Commission, there's a set of standards that are advised, and that's how we got our accreditation instead of an affiliation.
So the Plaza Florista, what's the status on it for the construction?
So we actually just had our bid meeting yesterday. Do you want to speak on that, David, or you?
Yeah, we had a bid opening yesterday, and we received one bid, and the price of the bid was $1.3 million. And this would be for the bathroom projects and parking lot for the 2 lots next to the Guadalupe Hall. Estimates on the project was between $600,000 to $750,000, and the bid was $1.3 million. What the city has done at that point is, being that there was only one bidder and it was extremely high, we are rejecting the bid, and we are going to go out on bid again. And we're going to give it a little more time and see if I get more interaction from contractors and a more competitive bid. It's just way too high.
And throughout the week, next week, we'll also be reaching out to the contractor that did come to the pre-bid conference to be able to see kind of what red flagged them to not be able to come and do a bid.
Yeah, our pre-bid meeting, we had like 6 contractors, and then the bid opening, we only had 1. So, and it's not uncommon here. I have seen it before, but the price is, yeah, it's
How about the
outrageous.
Guadalupe Hall?
Guadalupe Hall at this point,
So Terry Myers did with Preservation Central. I know I've talked a lot about her. She did come and do a windshield survey about 3 months ago. She actually did a windshield survey for both the Jimenez store and the Guadalupe Hall. So just a complete survey of the entire area to eventually try to get to a historic district. At this time, the Guadalupe Hall, there is a lot of historic fabric except the entrance. I don't know if there was an entrance at one point. It was an addition, and that's not historic. So we need to, in the coming weeks, we're going to be working with her to get her back out here to kind of guide us of what we need to do to get it back to the original fabrication.
in the meantime, also city staff, I'm going to ask them to start painting and cleaning up the property. Color choices will come from the Texas Historical Commission, but we are going to start moving in.
I know I had mentioned a while back that we're trying to make it to a bingo
hall
for the elderly people, for in general,
right,
that kind of people,
okay,
so they can have something to do in Cotulla.
Okay,
You know,
absolutely.
something that can be brought up.
Okay. Also take into consideration currently the Vasquez property, and it's a green store. And I always say the red store because it used to be red years ago. On Gulf Street, we are in the middle of acquiring that property also. So, and that came to council several months ago to approve the price.
And then also, I know it's not in the report, but as far as the Stockman's building, we are working closely with the attorneys and Able City to get the final documents to be able to close out, and just from the contractor and the attorneys of what's needed to be able to start construction with that so that we can get it finished. Any other questions for me?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
What building qualify for the historical?
For the facade
Yeah.
improvement grant, so the facade improvement grant, it's specifically for the Main Street district boundaries. Whenever there was an application submitted to the Texas Historical Commission as a Main Street city, Terry Myers with Preservation Central, it was 2006, she came down and she did historical research on all the buildings in the downtown commerce. So there's specific boundaries. You can go to Texas downtown TX and you can simply just look up Cotulla, and it gives you the historic district boundaries and the Main Street boundaries. The facade improvement grant is specifically for the Main Street district. So
Did you mentioned that somebody applied?
there was an application in
This one?
2006.
Okay.
That's whenever the Main
There's
Street
a
was.
person that's inquired. I met with Miss Pastor Rosie this week. She was probably looking to build another church on Main Street.
Okay.
And I brought up the facade grant to her at that time, and she was very interested in it, and her intention is to apply for the grant.
Right there where the church is?
Yes,
Yes.
where the church is on Front Street.
Okay.
And the facade improvement grant, it was approved through council, and it's not a reimbursement; it's an actual grant,
Correct.
and it's up to 15,000. That doesn't mean that council has to approve what the ordinance says and the facade improvement grant says. That doesn't mean that the council has to approve up to 15,000. If you say this work is 5,000 and we want to give you 5,000, that's what it means. But it's up to 15,000 of what they can do. Any other questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. Accounting. Mr. Garcia?
Good evening, Councilman, Mayor, Mr. Wright. I just want to apologize for the way my report was printed. It came out a little goofy. But the first report up is the sales tax collections. In June, the city collected $319,589. Since October, the city's collected $1,871,174, which is 42% higher than last year's total. And on the next page is the hotel motel collections report. In May, the city of Cotulla collected $51,477. The total since October is $883,307. And on the next report is the statement of revenues and expenditures. The software we have kind of updated the way they do these, so it looks a little different, but it's still the same report. And the total for the general fund is going to be on page 6. The total revenue for the general fund was $2,027,107. Total expenditures are $1,954,330, which nets the city $72,776. On page 9 is where you're going to find the water and sewer fund totals.
Before we go any further, I had a question. Had all the taxes of the hotels and motels been up far?
No,
Not yet.
absolutely not. So there are several hotels currently that are delinquent on taxes. Certified letters have been sent to them. We're waiting for a response of letters. If we don't have a response, I will forward it to Mr. Pena for action.
Is there like a category that we could see the amount of delinquents that there is?
There could be a report. I know that Jennifer is the one that takes care of the hot taxes, and there is a spreadsheet that she maintains that I see on a monthly basis. So it is possible that you can see it also.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I will let her know.
On page 9 is where we're going to find the water sewer totals. The total revenue for the water and sewer is $1,555,650. Total expenditures are $1,060,097, which is a net income of $495,553. On the next page is where we're going to find the municipal gas fund totals. The total revenue for the municipal gas fund is $280,413. Total expenditures are $190,567, which is nets the city $89,846. And on page 11 is where we're going to find the solid waste fund totals. The total revenue for the solid waste is $558,969. Total expenditures are $662,791, which on the very next page you're going to see that it's a net loss of $103,821. And that concludes the statement of revenue and expenditures. The other report attached is just a check register for the month of May.
The net losses for the water, you said?
Yes, sir.
I have 2 quick comments. Solid waste, we are currently doing a rate study to try to compensate for some of the losses we are having in the department. Historically, the sanitation has been at a loss year after year. It has been subsidized by other funds like general fund, but we are doing a study to try to compensate for that and have that fund run independently. The second thing in the report, if you notice on the sales tax for the month of June at $319,589. From last year, that is a 112% increase. We haven't seen this number since 2014 when the oil field came in and started hustling and bustling. So it's actually pretty important to note that, it's going back up again. So it's very positive for our city.
This for the hotel motel tax.
Speaking of the hotel motel tax, it is trending up. I think total for 2022 was $1.8 million, and at this point fiscal we're at $883,000. So we're up quite a bit too on that one.
David, if you could, I think this is a time where you could explain. Mr. Dovalina, before he left, had asked us to make an amendment to the Code of Ordinances requiring 4-yard dumpsters for commercial sites. And we actually had that as an item. Mr. Wright and I spoke about it, and we felt like it probably wasn't necessary, that what we had right now was sufficient. And I would like maybe Mr. Wright to explain some of the thinking behind that.
Yeah, some of my thinking behind that is the ordinance that was proposed to me will require every commercial business in the city limits of Cotulla to have a 4-yard dumpster. Businesses that like Gaddis that don't have room for it businesses like Raspa stands and barbecue stands that right now have nothing. You know, they're obviously using their residential. The ordinance that we currently have, well, let me continue with that one. That ordinance gave me the authority to decide who's going to have a dumpster and who's going to have a trash can commercial. And I didn't feel that I should have that authority. For one, I think it's going to cause issues for the city. The current ordinance that we have, I think that it just needs to be policed a lot better than it currently is. The current ordinance is well made. It outlines what people can and can't do. It outlines that we have 3 different classes of trash service. It is left to the supervisor and the city administrator in that ordinance currently to say, okay, they need a dumpster. They're putting out too much trash. To date, I think our issues have been is that it just hasn't been policed like it should. And I didn't feel that the new ordinance wasn't worth it. It just really wasn't. So, and if I put an ordinance in for commercial and have dumpsters at people's houses at their business, that's not going to go over well and make them pay $225, $250 a month when they have a business that they may not even nearly make that. So,
And I think that there was another issue with regard to the fact of the cost of the
yes.
dumpsters, and we do not have the dumpsters.
Correct. We do have dumpsters. We have several over there, probably 17 or 18. But if we enact the ordinance, the city's going to have to purchase X amount of dumpsters at X price, which is going to be several thousand, probably $4,000 a piece. And as you see in the financial report, the solid waste, they're in a deficit as it is. So we're going to subsidize. We would have to subsidize a large amount of city money just to enact the ordinance to how it was proposed. So it's not feasible. Now, as far as code compliance and being even across the board and actually enforcing what we have on the books, that's more feasible. So.
Meanwhile, say that we're going to wait, the city's going to wait to hire a code compliance and be up to par. Meanwhile, till that happens, the lady from Laredo, Annabelle, can start doing that. Meanwhile, am I correct?
Yeah, she could. Of course, we're going to pay a premium for the service, being that she's a consultant, but she could do it. I've been treating it, since we haven't had the code compliance officer, I've been treating it as complaint or more of an emergency style enforcement. I can't ask Annabelle to come day after day. I mean, she does have a full-time job because the need here is blanketed across the whole city. You know, it really is. We have things that are not in compliance all over the city. And it's just going to be an ongoing ordeal. And then at that, we're hiring one code compliance officer to tackle everything. And there is a lot out of compliance in the city.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Does the city right now have an employee that can give out citations?
Well, at the not exactly. At the time that there's no code compliance officer, I would assume that the city administrator would have the authority to give out citations. And is that correct, Steve?
There are 2 types of code enforcement. You have the code enforcement officer, which anybody can be, and a code compliance officer, which actually must have training and get just an actual license from the state. The citation can be something as simple as a notice to appear. The actual citation can be prepared by the municipal court. So the response is kind of the same, but typically it requires a licensed officer to give out a citation.
The reason I was saying is because I know we have, I guess, a certified and licensed animal control. He gives out citations for any animals. Am I correct? Can he?
I haven't seen that to date. All citations that the city has issued has been through code enforcement, code compliance.
But he can't give out citations to animals or anything like that.
I don't think he can. I haven't seen that happen, and I've never been told that it has happened that way. So usually I think mostly what has happened in the past is that if there's an issue with the animal, they would call the LaSalle County Sheriff's Office to go out.
Okay.
So if we couldn't handle it.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Good. Any?
does
more
that
questions?
conclude your, or did you do a hotel motel?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Garcia on accounting?
No, I got one question for him. On the revenue that comes in from the renting of the Civic Center, what category does it fall under?
The proceeds,
Yeah, because I didn't see it on the report. I don't know if it's in the report or not.
that should be going to general, am I
That's
correct?
definitely general fund, yes.
But it's not on the report, right? Can you tell me what page it is? Because I saw
That might be, it might be in the miscellaneous revenue.
because I see the expenditures that was done to the Civic Center on page I believe it's 17.
Yeah, so Civic Center's got its own fund, yes, sir.
But there's no revenue that I see. Maybe you can add it up on your report.
For sure, yes, sir. Page 15.
No other questions.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that and make it, obvious
Appreciate
next
it.
time,
Thank
yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia, for that report. Thank you. Building and maintenance. Mr. Roman?
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, Mr. Wright. Enclosed is my report for the month of May. All the repairs that were done throughout the Civic Center and the City Hall.
Any questions for Mr. Roman on his report?
I have
I
one
saw
thing.
that the project was completed on your fencing behind the Civic
Yes.
Center. And the status, let's see here that you have for the both entrance,
Yes,
it's already been completed also?
yes, sir.
You were saying, David?
Yes, I just wanted to point out that the building and maintenance department has taken over the janitorial service for all the city facilities that we have, primarily City Hall. And they're currently, they're doing the work versus having a contractor come in and do the work.
How many employees you got for the steam?
For the building maintenance, currently there's two. When Mr. Dovalina established the department, he established it with three, but we are short one staff.
Just for all the buildings and all of that.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right, if there's
No other
no further questions for Mr. Roman, thank you very much for that report, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, approval of minutes, May 11th, 2023. Mr. City Secretary, was there any changes to the minutes? Councilman, did you have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes, sir.
If you did, I need a first motion to approve item number 6.
I
First motion by Mr. Zatuche, second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 17, discussion on the City of Cotulla current 457 plan by Andrew Keck. Mr. Keck, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for waiting patiently.
Of course. So about 3 years ago, maybe almost 4, I noticed that the city of Cotulla did not have a supplemental retirement plan. Yes, they have their pension. So I went through the necessary channels. I believe there was an RFP out for the city to get that 457B plan up and running so that the city employees would have a place to defer some money because all of us know that the pension isn't everything that they're going to need retirement. So now they're in control and can put as much or as little money in a 457 plan, deferred through, or it all goes through payroll. And I'm just here to connect. It's been a while since I've talked to City Council, but there's 30 participants now. How many city employees do we have?
48.
Great. So
we got
I
a
feel like
good-
our goal is to communicate and wherever there is a misunderstanding or anything of that nature, I'm the first one to come down here and clear that up. Happy to go into any detail on the plan. Just 30,000 foot level looking down. There's 2 sleeves. One sleeve is a guaranteed interest account. It pays 3% guaranteed. And the other one is an investment account. And you can split that however you want. But to keep it simple, that's what's offered. And the employees can do that and set it up if they so choose to. The pension is locked in. This is an option. I can go deeper, but really just wanted to communicate, open it up for questions.
I got a
Please.
question on the 457 and the 401k.
Yes, sir.
If the employees want to retire, they have to have a set at 59 years of age or 59 years of age in 6 months, right?
So this
In order
is
to retire.
great question. This is why I love the 457B. If you are separated from service and you are under the age of 59 and a half, it doesn't matter how old you are. That money is free and clear of any penalty. That's not the case with the 401k. That's not the case with the 403B. Why is that great? If you retire early, you will be able to touch your money. And with the 457, you can touch it if you separate from service. The second you roll it into an IRA, you can't touch it till you're 59 and a half. So that's why we're here to fill out paperwork and make sure that those things are addressed before we submit something for the employees.
I have several questions.
Please, yes, sir.
On this 457, for instance, to say I have $10,000 on a 457 already.
Yes, sir.
I want to withdraw $1,000 out of it. Am I mandatory to put those $1,000 back?
So with the 457, if it's with the city and you work for the city, you cannot withdraw any money. The only thing you can do is you can apply for a hardship withdrawal, and there are 4 qualifications: medical, can't pay the bills, you submit proof, and you can access up to half of your money showing proof. The other way you can access money while working at the city is you can access it through loans. But the main thing is you can't take a withdrawal because you're getting a tax benefit, and the government says in the 457B tax code, the money has to stay there. You cannot take a withdrawal until you separate from service. So the only way to access it while working there is through loans or through a hardship withdrawal, which I can always help people figure out if they qualify.
Okay, another question.
Yes, sir.
48.
If I'm still an employee in the city and I don't want to put no more money into it,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to pull nothing out.
Yes,
Can
sir.
I do that?
Absolutely. You let me know. You let Bianca know. First, whoever here's first, we're going to communicate it and make sure that gets done for the next
Okay.
payroll cycle.
The other thing is there any information that you can share with Bianca, Georgia, so they can give to the employees what is the criteria of how they can withdraw monies and hardships and things like that, and also them knowing that they will not be penalized if you stop and not give more, but you can't withdraw until what age? 59 and a half?
No, actually, the second you leave and you do not work at the city anymore, it's free and clear of all penalties.
And
You just have to pay income tax if you deferred taxes.
is it a 10% if I withdraw it earlier before?
So actually, there is no 10% penalty as long as you do not work for the city anymore and you have 57B. You can actually take all that money out and not pay a penalty. That's not the case with a 401k.
But what if I still work with the city and want to withdraw?
You're not allowed to touch the money until you exit your contract with the city. That's how the 457.
There might be some confusion on some employees because I used to have that on my previous job.
Yes, sir.
But I had the data information, but there's a lot of people that computer savvy, you know what I'm saying? And they would like to know more into it because they're trying to save their money, very little that they earn.
Absolutely.
So if you can give that information to them to share down to all the employees, it'd be great help.
And I'll do one better if it's okay. I'll offer to come up a day and have Bianca, so we're not interfering. Maybe it's a day where there's some training of some sort, and I can also be available. But in addition to providing that, I'll make myself available too. At least
be up to David how he wants to credit do that.
Great.
It's a good idea, but the
Absolutely.
information will be sufficient to me.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
So if you have like the councilman was saying, if you have $10,000 and let's say you want to borrow some money, could you borrow only up to half on a loan, or is it like a 30% or 50%?
I believe, and I'd have to confirm, it's up to 60% of the value. And we don't advise people to rush to it. We advise people that it is a last resort. It's there. Use it if you have to. And it's important for them to know that.
Right, but and when they borrow this money from themselves, they pay themselves interest rate of 6%. Is that
correct? So they would borrow it and they would pay that interest out of pocket. So keep that money and pay that interest out of pocket. Speed up the interest and payment if they so choose to.
excellent? And you don't have another account to where you could just have it as a loan and they could tap in anytime they want. Do you have that availability?
No, frankly, no one's ever taken a loan as far as I can remember.
Well, that wouldn't be a loan. It'd be more like a savings. And in some places they let you take it out either once a year or even twice a year. Because it's your savings, no interest is required to it or anything.
Yeah.
And you just, so if you save up in 6 months, if you save up 1,000 and Christmas is around the corner, do you have anything like that you can offer the employees?
I can look into it. It would be something that I would offer to them personally. So not only do I offer this for the city, the county, and the school district, but I also do planning at a personal level. So anytime somebody has a question like that, that's when I start asking them what they have set up, and I get a better understanding of their particular situation. So to answer your question, yes. Anybody who comes and visits me, I'm happy to help them set up a bucket for those needs. I can't do with the 457B. It's a retirement plan to supplement the pension.
Right.
And it's really not there to serve for short-term needs, but to serve for long-term needs. But we have ideas. It's just everybody's different. I'm happy to go into that on a case-by-case situation.
Excellent. Councilman, any other questions?
No, sir.
If not, thank you very much for that report
right.
and
Thank you all.
presentation.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Moving on to item number 8, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by the Cotulla LaSalle County Chamber of Commerce requesting for permission to use the Alexander Convention Center with fee waived on August 2nd, 2023 to host the annual health fair. I believe this is something we do almost every year. Would you like to say something?
There's just a quick summary. The annual health fair is open to all community members, and it's held prior to the start of the school year. It includes local vendors and giveaways and information on financial, mental, physical, and medical health that's available to everybody in our area. And there's also a backpack and supply giveaway for CISD students. And it's a great way to help our community as a whole by promoting health, wellness, and shedding light on businesses with the resources and willingness to help. This was previously held by the First United Methodist Church of Cotulla. And when the request was passed down to the chamber to see if we would take it over, it was a unanimous approval by the board. We want to keep it going. It's a good thing for our community. We created an advisory board with representatives from the city, the county, school, and previous sponsors to help guide us in making the decisions through this process. And we're asking for the fee to be waived. We want to host it on Wednesday, August 2nd from 4 to 6:30. Of course, we need some time for cleanup also for setup.
Excellent. Councilman, any questions?
I'll make a move.
That's good.
Make a motion.
All right, first motion is made by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, ma'am. Moving on to item number 9, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by LaSalle County Sheriff Office requesting permission to use Veterans Park with fee waived on October 3rd, 2023 to host a National Night Out community event. Sheriff? Anybody that's going to speak on behalf of the sheriff? If not, this is something we did last year. So I don't know if, gentlemen, you remember that we approved this last year? If you do, I need a first motion to approve. First motion made is by Mr. Rodriguez. I seek a second. Second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 10, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by the Cotulla FFA Booster Club requesting for permission to use the Alexander Convention Center with fee waived on June 17, 2023 to host the and Diamond formal event. Anybody here from Mr. Sanchez? I knew you were here for something, Mr. Sanchez. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for coming in, sir.
Thank you. Any questions for me? It's going to be our first annual Denim and Diamonds formal. It's a formal event that it's, you know, we started this this nonprofit organization back in 2020, and we've started off doing multiple small fundraisers, and we've gradually grown and build up a pretty good member group and work hand in hand with the FFA chapter. And I think it's something that like gradually we've gone from, like I said, the small fundraising to these bigger events. And this is something that we apply the funds to help this local chapter assist them with anything that they need, really. And we're just one to ask the council and for permission to use the Alexander Convention Center and waive the fee on the June the 17th for our Denim and Diamond formal event, which will be our first annual formal event.
And these were for students and all that, right? That participate in FFA.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Local kids.
Local kids for the Cotulla FFA chapter.
So the event is not for the students, it's for adults that go to this? And
This
they
for
pay to
adults.
Go and they raise funds?
Yes, the students assist us, with any activities that go on. But for these, the booster club and their adult members are the ones that host and run these events for the FFA chapter.
And this has been done before?
This particular one is our first annual, but we have done a music festival last year, which was another one of our large projects. But we do many smaller fundraising events.
But if there's any other questions for Mr. Sanchez, I have a first motion by Mr. Sortuche to accept item number 10. Second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by the Cotulla FFA Booster Club asking for a monetary sponsorship of $5,000 for their Denim Diamond formal event.
Like I said, we're a nonprofit organization. We're comprised of many members, adult members, and our board, executive board, which I serve on the board as the board president. And these events, there's so much that goes into it, and from supplies to entertainment to food and just everything's relatively expensive now. So, we really rely on donations and support from the community. And this is where a lot of our student members come in and also, go out and help us, reach out to the local businesses in the community. But this is something that, like I said, this is a first formal event for ourselves, and it's pretty new. But we do know, just kind of based off of events we've done in the past, that it does take a lot of, monetary donations to run these kind of things, especially when there's, entertainment involved for people. So, I mean, we'll be having a silent auction and a live auction, and we also will be having a band. So there's a lot that goes into it. We're hoping for a large turnout. I mean, I think this is something that works in conjunction with the school and really is helping assist them and build a program and grow into different avenues to where they provide multiple opportunities for these kids. And we've really seen a lot of growth in the last several years, and we just we felt it was necessary to kind of jump in and help, because there's just so much going on when you have motivated people that want to do things for young kids, for the youth. It takes a lot of effort from multiple people. It takes a village, really, and I think that we've been a very supportive community, and we've been a pretty supportive club that have grown up quite a bit. And now we've kind of graduated from the small plate fundraisers, to these festivals and these, it takes a lot of organization and a lot of time. And we do this, for free. This is a nonprofit. This is solely for the kids. So we're asking for that monetary sponsorship, donation for our Denim and Diamond formal events.
I don't have a problem, and only one condition: if they can, when they do your advertisements, if you can put the city of Cotulla somewhere there.
Yes, sir. It'll come with a table for City of Cotulla and advertisement that comes with the sponsorship.
There's an agreement. These are hotel occupancy taxes that would be used to pay for this. And there is an agreement that the city does require the entity to sign. Basically, in order for the city to donate money to any private entity, it has to retain control over the use of the funds. So the agreement will specify what they can be used for and what they can't be used for. And that agreement, we've done that with quite a few organizations here in town. The legal metric for providing hotel occupancy funds grants is heads and beds. Will this bring tourism to the city? Will this bring people from out of town that might stay here? Will they eat in the local cafes? Will they contribute to the economy? And it doesn't mean they have to spend, that every one of them has to do it, but there has to be some connection to that, because the under the state tax code, those funds have to be accounted for, and they're only allowed for those purposes. They can't be used for anything else. Well, no, it's just basically tourism. But as Larry always said, heads and beds. So it comes from a tax on rooms, and therefore there has to be a relationship to that. I guess presumably some of those people will come in from out of town and may stay in the hotels.
Oh yeah, we have several people that will be attending from out of town.
Yeah, and the fact that you're doing the advertising and to bring people here, so that's fine.
That's within the guidelines.
But we have to have that agreement.
Okay.
And that agreement is critical. Otherwise, it's a donation that's not really allowed.
And Mr. Sanchez, everybody signs that agreement. So and it'll have the criteria on there as how you can use the funds, and just keep track of the funds until you use it all.
Oh yeah, no, we have a very good treasurer.
You can't pay salaries, or that you can't pay for.
Yeah,
no, everything's volunteer on our end, but yeah, we're more than Glad.
These accounts that the city maintains for hotel occupancy taxes are very large.
Mhm.
And they are very inviting for people to want to access them. But the state deliberately makes it hard to disperse it because of that.
Totally understand.
Councilman, if there's no further discussion, I have a first motion made by Mr. Sertucha. I need a second. Second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank
Mr.
you very
Sanchez,
much.
thank you for that. Moving on to item number 12, discussion and possible action to award the financial institution depository bid to Stockman's National Bank.
Okay, this similar situation. Well,
Ms. Scarlett, are you here for that, Ms. Scarlett, to give a presentation, a small presentation on that?
I believe you're here for if we have any questions. Yeah. Just if we have any questions.
So we had a bid opening also on this. Stockman's was the only entity that put in a bid. In the bid opening, it states that Stockman's was going to charge us anything except for transfers and return checks. So wire transfers and return checks, and that would be it. I believe Stockman's has online service at this point to where we can transfer funds between accounts online. Talked to the staff that have to work with some Stockman's, and they were open to it, and they were agreeable to make the change if the council is willing to do it. So pretty much staff is recommending the Stockman's Bank for the depository for the city of Cotulla.
Councilman, any questions on item number 12?
Is there anything, I guess, what will be the interest on that?
So yeah, second page, what I see here is, I guess, if you want to speak on that a little bit, but all funds here, it looks like there's a 1% interest rate that is paid to the city. Is that correct?
So we do have I think y'all should have the service and fee schedule in there. Mr. Gates did note that on the CDs, you will get the interest paid at the rate of the Stockman's current market rate plus 1%.
That's for all employees and all that.
That's gonna be for the city
For the
account.
city.
For the city.
Yes.
Councilman, if there's no further discussion on item number 12, I seek a first motion. First motion is made by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, ladies,
Thank
for that report. Moving on to item designee to enter into an energy contract from 1 to 5 years with the retail electric provider with the lowest or best contract for the city of Cotulla, recommended by Marco A. Arredondo Incorporated, and the agreement of the city manager.
David Cotulla is here.
David?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and the city administrator. For the record, my name is David Cardwell. I'm here this evening representing Marco A. Arredondo. He's a professional utility rate and consulting firm. Mr. Arredondo cannot be here with us this evening. He sends his regards, and as you noticed there in the beginning, we started working with the city of Cotulla back in 2010, actually 2009. But our first contract that we coordinated with the city was in 2010. I believe in transparency, so in front of you, you have the complete packet that I'm going to talk about and present this evening. So you can follow with me, stop me anytime you have a question at any point. And based upon the agenda item, as the way the mayor read it, my purpose here this evening is to share an overview with each of you, some of the items that Mr. Arredondo will be discussing with the mayor or his designee and Mr. Wright in signing the lowest and best energy contract for the city of Cotulla. This will be after, not tonight. I'm just explaining everything that it's going to take and go through this, because your agenda item is just naming the mayor, authorizing him, or a designee. to meet with Mr. Arredondo and work this process. On behalf of Mr. Arredondo, I will be sharing with you energy price quotes, and you will be seeing on the sheet that I will go through higher than your current contracted energy rate. Energy prices have been trending upward since the 2021 February storm, that freeze storm that we had by the name of Uri, U-R-I. I didn't know it had a name for a long time, but I think we will always remember that storm. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know what it holds in anything, the price of gas, price of electricity, but we know it's trending upward. But the good news is the prices that I'm presenting tonight and the prices that Mr. Arredondo will be speaking with the mayor or his designee will be approximately 4.9 cents lower than the price of energy the city of Cotulla was paying in 2009 when we coordinated our first contract. And at that time, the contract, your fixed energy rate was 10 point, I have it on another sheet, but it's at 10.23 cents per kilowatt hour back then. I'm going to take you through 3 documents. And then, as I said, please feel free to ask any questions. The first document is behind my opening comments there, and it's called Energy Services. On the second page there, dated June 8, of course, today. There's 16 items listed there. Those are the services that Marco A. Arredondo, Inc., and I am part of that, will provide to the city of Cotulla. But I'm going to sort of warp speed to save everyone time and tell you what the bottom line of this page is, because I tell this because I deal with a lot of our customers that we coordinate contracts with. The bottom line is we become an extension of Mr. Wright and the city administration, mainly the accounting department and each department head that has electric meters connected. How do we do that? What we do when we coordinate a contract, we're your energy consultant as long as that contract is in force. If your accounting department has a problem or wants a meter connected or disconnected, or the bill is wrong they receive from the retail electric provider, anything short of AEP being over here with an outage, because Mr. Wright has a professional he works with, Mr. Ernest, I believe it is, AEP is the wires company. We're dealing with a retail electric provider that sells energy. Okay, and so lights, I heard that mentioned earlier. If there's a problem of getting lights on the contract, off the contract, we coordinate that for you. All they have to do is pick up the phone and call us. I'm based in Laredo. Mr. Arredondo is in Portland. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they can call me. Phone, text, email, whatever. When we do that, Mr. Wright's office does not have to sit there, pick up the phone, dial 1-800 and punch a whole bunch of numbers and go through the retail electric provider to try to get to talk to someone. She picks up the phone, or someone in the office, Mr. Wright calls us. We will look into it. We will get back to you. The problem becomes ours then to try to solve for the city. Of course, if there's some negotiations to be done, the city will make that decision, not us. But we will try to get it to that point. That is probably the best way that I can explain that long sheet of 16 items on that one. On the next page, let's look at where we were at and a little bit of past history of your energy contracts, current contract, and what we can be looking at going forward. Your current contract expires this month in June 2023. That contract started in December of 2020. It was a 30-month contract. You had 45 electric accounts at that time. Your new contract that will start this month will have 50. You've added 5 accounts in the last 30 months. Estimated usage back then, when that contract started 30 months ago, was 3,227,227 kilowatt hours for a 12-month period prior to December 2020. Right now, today, for the past 12 months, City of Cotulla has consumed 3,466,436 kilowatt hours. Current contract retail electric providers monthly charge $0. Some retail electric providers charge a monthly meter fee on top of AEP's charge. We do not work with retail electric providers that charges, we call it a double charge, a double dip. There's no need for that. You need to keep your money here and use it elsewhere. Your current contracted energy rate at this time is 3.875 cents per kilowatt hour. Your new energy contract will be the lowest and the best fixed energy rate that can be found on the market. And then once it's found, Mr. Arredondo will be meeting with the mayor or his designee and Mr. Wright. They will come to an agreement. City of Cotulla's 2009 contracted energy charge, and I knew I had this somewhere, was 10.32 cents per kilowatt hour. We hope that they never go back to a 7 or 10 cent range of power back then. What I would like to go to is this long sheet right here, the first one, on this one. I know it's a lot of numbers and a lot of things here, and I will cover with you to give you a glimpse into the energy market yesterday. As of yesterday, 6 different retail electric providers made a bid yesterday on your energy. The bid prices are here, and they're ranging from 12, 24, 36, 48, all the way up to 120 months. Yes, it does look good when they put long terms, but the recommendation, the bottom line, I think City of Cotulla should consider, and Mr. Arredondo is probably going to make this recommendation, is probably stay around a 2-year maximum term. And the reason for that is with the gas company, and you heard that earlier about the gas prices. The energy market is very volatile. We don't know what's going to happen in the next year, 2 years. We don't know what's going to happen in November 2024 at the election. We don't know what's going to happen in the drilling. We don't know what's going to happen about selling LNG across the pond. So if City of Cotulla goes into maybe a 2-year contract, you're keeping your budget reasonable. Another thing is you're letting the energy market maybe try to stabilize itself in the 2 years. Now, one thing that we can always be done with commercial contracts, if something happens in the 2 years and the price drops, let's say a year from now, you can go out less than 24 months, sign a contract into the future and lock in that rate. So for the sake of talking, it dropped a penny a year from now. We can come back to you and say, hey, it's dropped a penny. Do y'all want to sign a contract to start when your current contract expires? You have those options. So that's another thing. I know there's a lot of information on this, but I'm willing to take you through this, answer any question you have on this. But this right here is what the mayor or his designee and Mr. Wright and Mr. Arredondo is really going to put an X-ray vision on this sheet right here. This is what it's going to be. And just to give you one fact off of this page, in the past 12 months, and it'll probably be in your budget somewhere, your estimated cost for the past 12 months for electricity, $344,121.65, based upon our records of the contract. those are the things that I wanted to cover with you, and I also want to make myself available for any questions that you may have, but keep in mind that what you want to do here, again with the agenda item, is you giving the mayor or his designee, along with Mr. Wright and Mr. Arredondo, come up together and work this, because the energy prices change daily. And the prices on this sheet of paper are not today's prices. They could be lower, they could be higher. And when they meet, whether it's Monday, next week, next Wednesday, next Friday, and then they can even meet and talk about one day and say, well, I'm going to wait and see what the price is tomorrow. So there's some things that they can have during that discussion. We've been working with y'all, and I believe that Mr. Dovalina, we worked with him for a long time for all these years. We provide personal service to our clients. So when we do coordinate a contract, we can come up here at any time at a council meeting. If you want to ask us questions, we can give you monthly reports. We can provide those to Mr. Wright. We can give pricing broken out by your departments. If we have the meters broken out that way, we can give you sort of what you did with your accounting a while ago. So we have that capability. In conclusion, again, what we want to do is make sure that you receive the best service, number one, from the retail electric provider that you contract with, and you're going to get the best service from us coordinating that, working with y'all. Honorable Mayor, that is what I'm presenting this evening, and like I said, I'm available for questions.
Councilman, any questions for David?
David, right now, what is the interest rate that we're getting on paying on kilowatts that we have now?
Mr. Caldwell, correct me
Was
if
that
I'm wrong, but I
3
think it was 3.2.
3 point something?
Yes, it is.
It's on the-
If you go back to, yes,
Page 2.
3.87.
3.8.
It is 3.875. And I'm glad you brought that question up, because let me share something with y'all that a lot of people do not realize. And this pertains to your electric bill at your homes or a business that you might own, such as City of Cotulla. We're in a deregulated market. What does that mean? That means that we have the right to shop on the market, and that's what we're doing here. Shopping with retail electric providers that sell energy and get the lowest and best price, and we contract for that. But out of that, the wires company, which is your transmission and distribution system, which is owned by AEP, is I want to say, regulated monopoly, I guess, if I could say it that way, because they come under the control of the Public Utility Commission of Texas. They get a piece of your electric bill. You cannot contract that, because there cannot be 2 or 3 wires companies all over South Texas or in your community. So the Public Utility Commission allows one wires company, and in this case, it's AEP, and I'm retired from AEP after 33 years. So I know that company, and I spent my career there in Laredo. But to look at that, if you want to go a little deeper with that, your current contract is 3.875 cents per kilowatt hour of energy. That's what you contracted. AEP's pass-through charge on your bill is 5.842 in this one. That happens with everybody. Your home, your bill, when you pick up your bill, you have a total amount, but if you look at it closely, you've got an energy portion and a wires portion, and then a real small taxes and fees. So that's what makes up a bill. Good question. Good question.
I know, David, that we have LaSalle County, well, not LaSalle County, it's the city. And correct me if I'm wrong, do we have other companies that, besides AEP, Medina?
Medina Electric is in portions of our city, but not in many areas.
Would that interfere?
Right.
They-
Well, in the city limits, I believe it's out in the Kimosabi subdivision. It's split between AEP and Medina Electric.
It is.
Would that interfere with this project?
No, this doesn't interfere with what we're doing. This would be like he's going to Direct Energy, which would be like Ambit or one of your other companies, and they're working with them.
Okay.
So
That's a good question.
I don't have a problem.
Should we give a motion to have you on?
Yeah, the motion is just to give David and I the, to be able to,
Negotiate.
yeah. Negotiate.
Make a motion.
First motion on item number 13 was made by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable
Thank you
Mayor.
for that presentation.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 14, discussion on a proposal submitted by Aris Consultant for the creation of a City of Cotulla strategic plan and/or other professional service as required to facilitate implementation of strategic plan.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Mr. Wright. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I've had a few conversations with a couple of you regarding the strategic plan. So essentially what we're here to do is we're here to initiate the conversation of creating a strategic plan for the city of Cotulla. So what we're looking for is potentially a 10-year plan that's going to help facilitate the growth of Cotulla. What we're looking at is essentially creating a robust, comprehensive plan that outlines priorities from city council and the community. In front of you, I think you have a copy of an existing plan that was created a few years back that some of the tasks have been accomplished, but it's not as robust or as comprehensive as the proposal that we're presenting. So essentially what we're doing is we're pitching a 4-phase project that's going to rely heavily on community engagement and community involvement, because we want the community to have ownership of this process as well. So we want individuals to feel like they have ownership and that they were a part of the process. We're also going to rely heavily on council. As the elected body of the city, council directs policy, they direct the vision of the city. Based on that information, we're going to go back and we're going to create objectives. These objectives could be public infrastructure, could be financial stability, could be economic development, quality of life issues, and the list goes on. At the end of this program, we'll hope to have a plan with deliverables to help you achieve the goals to help move the city forward. Now, the reason that we're doing this is because growth will happen naturally on its own, but it can only go so far on its own. So what this does is help facilitate and push that growth forward. But it is going to rely heavily on you guys to help us decide what is it that you guys want as a body to become a priority. Once we establish that, we'll come up with deliverables to help facilitate that. Now, the deliverables could be establishing legislative relationships with our state elected officials, our federal officials. It could be to create economic development programs to incentivize specific industries, whether you want to go after a hotel, motel, retail space, industrial, commercial. It really just depends on what you guys want to move forward with. John out here is one of my colleagues, and what he does is he helps a lot with community engagement, building relationships. One of the things that I did was I did meet with the county judge, and I stressed the importance of working together as two entities of the area to move forward hand in hand. So that's something that we plan to do, is to work with the county to try to help build a better future for the city. I'm going to let John speak real quickly about his portion of the legislative agenda and the community engagement portion.
So good evening. I just want to take a moment. So a couple months ago, Ernie and I were talking about, he really had posed a question to me of, I go back home and there's so much I want to do. My dad lives there. My grandmother lives there. He's modest in the sense that he doesn't say it, but a lot of you know him is because he grew up here. And I think that shouldn't be forgotten, that this young man wants to come back home and do something good for the city. But I digress just a bit. So I've been involved in public relations and community engagement for the last 25 years, whether it be the city of Corpus Christi as an employee there, CPS Energy for 18, 19 years, most recently the director of government relations. I have facilitated engagement on a multitude of scales with environmental social groups, advisory committees, gathered public input toward many of the projects that we had with regard to the utility. And then the last 2 years, I've been doing public policy and real estate on my own. I decided it was time for me to go out and make my mark myself. What we're saying is how does the city of Cotulla get a voice at the legislative session or on the state or federal level? Because quite frankly, the city of Cotulla deserves a voice. They deserve to be heard and not be left behind, whether it be information or advocacy. There's so many things that we can do that would offer an opportunity. You know, there are programs out there that provide funding, whether it be matching or loans. There are opportunities where, through, like what Ernie said, a strategic plan to set goals and policy for the city. We can work from the congressional offices down to the state senators, state representatives, regionally. You can't do it by yourself. You should probably have some advocacy. You've got one of the most powerful corridors in the United States along I-35, and it cuts right through the city. How can you take advantage of that? There's got to be a coalition of common needs and goals, workforce development, increasing, what was a term, heads in beds. There's got to be things that can come to the table, but a strategic plan will craft what we can go after. And again, the session just ended. They're in special session right now at the state. That gives a decent opportunity to prep, to find out what direction the state will go. I will tell you, one of the things I find most scary in my legislative years is that local control is eroding. And I think that was first a facet of the Texas legislature, and they seem to have gone away from a little bit. They want to control what happens in the cities. There's a lot of preemptive bills that were introduced and passed, and I think there are things that we can do as a community, coalescing with other organizations, advocacy groups, industry groups, persons of committee members of jurisdiction, that we can take and fight these things together, because there's other communities that are looking to do the same, but really don't have the opportunity to do it. I've done it. Ernie's done it. We're working together now as sole proprietors, and there's a lot of things that can happen. I'll turn it back to Ernie. We're going to tag team a little bit more on the strategic plan and the opportunity for a legislative agenda and even economic development programs.
So essentially what we're asking for is for the opportunity to help create a framework to push the city forward. There is a lot of goals, there's a lot of objectives to bring in big retail chains, an H-E-B, a Walmart, a regional hospital. These are big projects. This process will help organize the city to put you guys in a much better position moving forward to go after them. Now, I need to be clear on one thing. That doesn't mean that once this project is complete, that we will get an H-E-B, a Walmart the next day, the next month, the next year. But if we don't do something now, we will never put ourselves in a better position to go after these organizations. We sit on a major corridor between Laredo and San Antonio. There is no reason why Cotulla can't serve as a regional hub for something. So this process will help us facilitate that goal. We're looking at a 3 to 4 month process. It just depends on the level of commitment, time schedules. Again, it's going to involve heavily on community input and heavily on your input as well. So we do want to have workshops with the council members, and we want to have interviews one-on-one with you, because we want to establish what is the mission, what is the values of the city. That will help shape this process, and it will help shape Cotulla, I'm hoping, for many years to come. Many of you know me as Ernie. My dad lives here, my sister, my niece, my grandma. I have a strong connection to Cotulla. It means a lot to me to be able to come back, to have some level of impact in my community for my family that still lives here, aunts, uncles, you name it. This is more than just a business project for me. This is personal. And to be able to come back to do something like this would be a tremendous honor for me to be able to push the city forward, to have some level of impact, whether that's through economic development, whether it's legislative affairs, as John mentioned, whether it's seeking grants, helping facilitate projects. The strategic project is not the end, it's just the beginning. After the strategic plan is completed, what happens next? Implementation. How do you do that? The city doesn't have, unfortunately, the resources or the staff to be able to push these projects forward. So one of the options that we do offer is to be able to be available to you on an on-call basis to be able to help facilitate the actual process of completing these tasks to reach that goal. Now, what that goal looks like, I don't know, because we need to go through this process first, and we need to find out what your individual goals are as a collective body. Once we have that, then we can push forward and see what we can do to help out.
I know that a lot of people have been asking, in the past years and years, to have more of a competitive grocery store.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel that we're being gouged with the prices because it's a booming town.
Yeah.
It's a booming city. But it hurts the people that has nothing to do with the oil business, but it's hurting the elderly people that are in a fixed income and people that are in the middle class, with buying the food in the drugstore or whatever it is. And I know that we've asked a lot of times people from those big entity H-E-Bs and Walmarts, but they always give us an answer that they have to have a big population.
Yeah.
Big commercial stores. So with getting this through you all, it would help us get something going on, like an H-E-B.
Like I mentioned earlier, I can't guarantee you that it would solidify the agreement to bring somebody. But when you go after somebody such as an H-E-B, they're going to have requirements, they're going to have questions. Infrastructure, fire rating, housing, workforce.
Yeah.
This project basically helps get you organized so that you can have a competitive edge. So when you go after them, you can say, this is what we have to offer. This is why we want you, and this is how we can support you. Whether that's through tax abatements, through incentives, whatever the case is, this project will help facilitate that. Like I said, I just want to reiterate, I can't guarantee that we'll get you something in the next few years. But my personal opinion is that if we do not do something now, we will never get it done. We will never move forward to the point that we should be at. When I come down the 35 corridor, I see other towns who are maybe a little bit bigger than what we are, but they have H-E-Bs, they have hospitals, they have other stores. And I don't see why Pearsall can get a Starbucks, but we can't get something along the same lines. So for me, it's about quality of life, opportunities for people to want to come back to Cotulla, to live, to prosper, and to raise their families in a very enjoyable fashion.
To create more jobs.
Exactly. And part of it also is establishing, do you want to establish a minimum wage for new businesses that come in?
Yeah.
Do you want to control growth? One of the deliverables would be, in my opinion, and I hope it would happen, is to create a comprehensive land development policy, because you do want growth, but you want to be able to control it. You don't want industrial next to residential, residential next to commercial. You want to be able to say, this is where we want growth to happen, so that you have control as a city.
Come forward. We need some change.
Definitely.
I know y'all been doing this line of work in other cities, and my question to you, what percentage have you brought more business to those cities?
So that is varied. I'll tell you that right now Ernie has had a lot of conversations with the city of Pearsall with regard to housing. There's also the Stockdale Economic Development Corporation, which we're going to hopefully be talking to soon. I have worked primarily in the past years with the suburban cities around Bexar County, like Universal City, Selma, Schertz, Live Oak. With regard to those communities, the work that I had done was to ensure that there were infrastructure projects capable of, I'm sorry, the infrastructure available for those projects to be successful. They weren't cheap, but that was a combination of other things, right? That was water, electric, gas, opportunity to operate in the right of way. So it varies depending on the project, and they were again, going back to what Ernie said, if we start tomorrow, we won't have an HEB, in the next 3 months, right? But at least, this is an opportunity to start making a voice to be heard. And those are we'll do short, mid, and long-term goals. The long term is the HEB and the Walmart, possibly a regional emergency clinic of some sort. Those have to happen. That's about time. Again, it's not just the population; it's the through traffic on 35 that you've got to take into account. Even if it's is it Lidl that has that HEB market, that small one? I've stopped in on the road to.
It's a big one in Lidl.
I've stopped in to get snacks and food, and groceries, and it's pretty good. It's a good convenience. With the amount of people that flow in between here and Laredo, there's no reason why there shouldn't be something of that nature here. It gives us an opportunity, right? So it's kind of difficult to answer your question, but there's every opportunity to do something.
Are you also qualified to get grants?
So we've got a partner on our team that does write grants. And so again, I could throw out any number of things, right? Do you want to go after the Inflation Reduction Act? There are other cities that are going after energy efficiency upgrades to airport, to their own city facilities, installing solar. I heard electric vehicle infrastructure. It depends what the city, the community, and business leaders, civic leaders, you guys come together with on what will be the priorities. And then we can focus down on those. We've talked about this for a while today. USDA has a number of different programs that are incentivized for rural communities. So it really depends. I think it's very difficult to shotgun something, hoping to hit, and then instead let's be a bit more focused on the project sectors, medical field, hospitality, industry, and then we can cipher down from there. Kind of filter it down on where you want to go.
How soon can y'all get started?
Tomorrow?
Tonight?
Huh?
Tonight? No. We're ready to begin at any moment.
I think the bigger question is,
Well, I think it's time already for our town to already move. We have to give this people already an HEB, Walmart, a hospital. We have to move on forward. We have to step out of that box already. It's about time, man. Our town is just stuck in this little box, and they're all. And this is just me, okay? Everybody thinks the same stuff, that it's here. It can't happen. Yes, it can. All things are possible, It's time to start already now.
No,
we need now it's time to give our people what they need already. It's bad that we have to go to an HEB out of town or Walmart or drive 30 miles for a hospital. I think we need this already, and as soon as possible. Get it started. That's me.
No, I agree with you, Councilman. I grew up down the street from you. I graduated with Mr. Garcia. I'm not going to say that nothing has happened. I've seen some things happen, and I think it's been tremendous. But do I think there's a lot more that can be done? Yeah, I do. I think there's tremendous opportunity for us to be able to help facilitate growth in Cotulla. It takes time. It's a process. We can't just flip a switch and everybody comes. To answer your question, there's a million directions that we can go in, but we need council to give us direction and priority so that what John was saying, we don't want to shotgun it. We want to be precise. So based on your objectives, we'll develop a plan. And based on that plan, we'll know where to go looking for funding. And we'll know what strategies to go after. So with your specific question is, when we can start, we're at your disposal. And Mr. Wright, it's up to the city. We're here to begin the conversation, to formalize what your requirements are, what you would love this project to look like, and then we'll be happy to come back and formalize the process and utilize whatever resources are available to the city to help facilitate this project and move this city forward.
I don't have a problem. I'm for it, and it's just long as when it gets approved, if they can make a summary every time they have an update of what they accomplished.
Yes, and that would be part of the process. So the project is based in 4 stages. So the initial stage is the kickoff, the work plan, and the data collection. So the work plan is essentially the blueprint for the process of the project. So we're going to establish how we communicate with the city, how we report back to council, basically from A to Z. The second phase of that is going to be the actual community engagement. So we want to host focus groups with business owners. We want to have a focus group with a small group of individuals actually nominated by council members. So that's something that we want your input on who we can have in our small focus group. But then we also want to invite the community as a whole so that we can get everybody's opinion on what this project should look like. The next phase is actually having a workshop with the council members. So what I want to do is I would love to do a community survey, report everything back to you at the first workshop. That way you know what the sentiment of the city is. Once you have that sentiment, then I want to do another workshop to help actually establish the mission, the vision, the values of the city. What does this city stand for? Identify the objectives. What goals do you want to pursue? Then come back to you with objectives. Come back to you with tasks on how we're going to accomplish that. But there will be constant communication throughout the process. We just need to know who the point of the city contact is so that we can communicate on a regular basis and then come back to you also on a regular basis.
It will be probably David.
Yeah. And then once we have council meetings, we can come back at every council meeting and give you an update on where we're at, what the progress is, where we're at. Happy to provide a matrix for you that highlights everything that we're doing, the stage that it's in, whatever information you want, it will be available to you.
I'm for it.
I'd like to say something. Me and Mr. De La Rosa have had a lot of conversation over the last several weeks, actually concerned with the different aspects that he spoke about tonight. Of my 13 years being with the city of Cotulla, 10 of it was in the field. And working in the field, you're in contact with the public. And me and Mr. De La Rosa, I believe that he's gotten to a point that he's offering something that I've heard for years and years and years from the public. We need more communication. We need more. We want a Whataburger. We want this, and we want different types of business. We need housing. We've talked about housing. But I want everyone to understand and reiterate what Mr. De La Rosa is saying is this is your starting point. This is day number 1. Okay, it's a long road. He's going to organize a plan. It's going to be in writing, and we have a roadmap on how to proceed, and that is what he's offering to us. After that, we've been having conversation with Mr. De La Rosa about putting boots on the ground, contacting companies, contacting legislation, Austin, Washington D.C., to get every resource that we possibly can to make this happen for the city of Cotulla. Out of clarity, I would like to go and put an RFQ out. I would like to do that. That's why I made a discussion only, and put it out for 14 days and see if anybody else comes back. But I would like to do that. By the next council meeting, I would hope to have something on the agenda for approval.
I had a question. You already have a 10-year-old report here. So I would think it would be a process of updating your report and maybe expanding the scope.
Yeah, that report is a small component of the overall plan that we're proposing. So that is a competitive market analysis, not necessarily a strategic plan as a whole. So it would be substantially more robust and comprehensive than what you have in front of you, because we're including everything.
So there would be at least some point of not having to reinvent the wheel. I mean, so you have some of the baseline, like I was just glancing at it where you were talking about the water infrastructure. The city has tremendous water infrastructure and has done a lot in the last 10 years. I had asked in the past Mr. Dolina about a comprehensive plan, and we really don't have one. We're supposed to have one.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we have something that kind of, you know, yeah, it is, but you know, it really is something you should have as a city, all cities.
Yeah.
I worked with a city years ago, and it was like, this was 15 years ago, and I think it was like $500,000 they spent on one of those plans. It was unbelievable what it costs to do those kinds of
Yeah,
reports.
it can get, depending on the scope of the project, it can get somewhat out of control.
But here's the issue with these reports. So you go, you do this great report, you hand them the thing, you put it on the shelf. 10 years later, you say, oh, you need another one. I mean,
And that's the concern that Mr. Wright raised, and that's where we included an on-call portion to it, to be able to come back. What we don't want, this process essentially is just the first step. After this project is done, we're going to have clear direction on where the council wants to go. That's where the real work begins for us, to actually help implement the deliverables to reach the goals.
I could tell you that the city of Cotulla, I've been trying to follow up on it, and I haven't gotten a clear answer. It actually had legislation with the legislature to create, to give the city the ability to have a foreign trade zone at the airport.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, that got approved, but I haven't seen. And then once that's done, you have to apply to the federal government to get that. So that's an
a start for us.
incredible opportunity there.
Yeah, no, and I've heard about that exact conversation, and that would be a tremendous launching pad for the area.
They've
So-
spent millions of dollars at the airport.
Yeah.
The terminal.
Foreign trade zone.
E.T. Page, who really is the airport.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's the only one that's ever done anything out there. Wants to build another terminal. There's a lot of things that I get asked, you know, what kind of airport facilities. The city has a tremendous, it probably has the best airport in
in the
South
region.
San Antonio.
Mhm.
You know, I know about Hondo, I know about Pleasanton, I know Pearsall has, you know, the crop duster airport. I mean, what Cotulla has is tremendous. So they have a lot of the things that they need, but with these reports, they're only as good as what you use them for.
Yeah.
And you know, walk into any city manager's office and they're all stacked over there. USDA, you know, I mean, they're done because they have to be done, but who does anything with them is the question.
That's the first thing
and-
we actually talked about when I first met him.
Yeah,
Right.
and like I said,
Exactly what I
we've
said.
had several conversations about that, and we get that sentiment because that report you have was locked in the closet for who knows how many
Yeah, they
years.
hold the door open.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
10 years already.
So our goal is just not to come in here and create a plan. Our goal is to help implement.
So,
the plan.
so this building is used
strategic
by the Cotulla
implementation.
LaSalle County Chamber of Commerce. And this is the kind of stuff they're supposed to have.
Yeah.
You know, in order for them to do their job. They do little things here and there, but if you have more sophisticated information and we're able to get that out to the public and get that out to the people that are looking to locate new business in the city, it would help a lot. But drive around. I mean, they're building a multi-million-dollar love station south of town.
Yeah.
You know, we've got 2 or 3 of them over here. We've got Flying J and Stripes, and I mean, they're coming on their own. Or
and that's great, but you're not getting what people are asking for. You're getting gas stations,
They're
which
getting
we
sales
need,
tax.
which is fantastic, but it's still not a grocery store.
Absolutely.
It's still not a regional medical facility.
There is a lot of work to be done. As Councilman Rodriguez was saying, I know that in the past, him and I have had some conversations about an HEB and Walmart. And there's the dynamics of any of them coming in. One of them wanted to come in or took a look at Cotulla back in, I want to say 2013 or 2014. And it was, I think it was HEB to be precise. And they took a look at Garro subdivision, which is the division over where McDonald's and Stripes. But what happened there is that the developers gave Stripes exclusive rights for gas and bread and milk and certain other amenities that they gave exclusive rights. So HEB kind of took a step back from that land simply because they couldn't sell bread, and milk and gas. So they pulled out. But a little while ago, you did mention about not mixing residential with commercial. We've been managing to get the ball rolling, maybe not at the level that you guys are here for to help us out with. But I don't know if you took a look at the loop, the new loop that we built.
Yes.
Or actually the county built, right by the airport. I know that loop probably needs maybe an on-ramp onto 35, maybe an off-ramp as well. Maybe that could be talked for the future, but the city saw value on building or maybe finding some sort of developers that can build homes, anything south of the loop. And then on the north side of the loop, we were kind of hoping to make it commercial, industrial kind of usage for that entire land for that.
But it has to be annexed first.
But yes. And anybody that would come in, when they ask for city services, will ask for voluntary annexation.
So a company like HEB, for sure, is as much a real estate company as it is a grocery store company.
They did ask for an impact study as well, if I remember correctly. We did that as well, and we gave it to them, and they liked it, but they were still a little bit hesitant. And when they saw that property, I think they liked that location, and they just up and left when they found out.
Look at even Pearsall, they built that. I'm pretty sure they own most of that stuff in there. That land, and I saw that Starbucks there, and like there was nobody in it because I don't think it had opened. And then I drove back; it's packed.
It's packed. Yeah, I
people paying $10 for a cup of coffee, and they are standing in line to do it.
I actually had a meeting
nuts.
this morning in Pearsall, and the individual was telling me that they sell out some days because of how busy they get.
Have you ever been in line? Have you ever seen it's in San Antonio, bear with me, the Starbucks at Brooks City Base? It's right there at Military and
I know where that is, but I haven't seen it.
Busiest, most profitable Starbucks in the region is what I understand. The line is twofold out. Why? Why can't this city have an opportunity? Yeah, these are big projects, and we'd love to work on them. They're going to take time and effort. I think, again, short, medium, and long-term goals. I know we've talked a long time. David and Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. We'll continue to answer questions if you have any.
Yes, thank you for coming in tonight and giving us a
appreciate the
presentation on your goals, and could be one day be our goals as well. And hopefully we can work together.
Definitely.
With the county.
And the county, yes. Yes. Councilman, any questions? Thank you for that presentation, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 15, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by Mr. Roger Perez and Deborah Aranda, requesting to begin the process of rezoning from residential to commercial for the operation of a food shack.
Mayor, these people submitted a letter to City Secretary. I haven't had no direct conversation with them, so I do not know their intentions. I would recommend the table.
What item is that?
Item number 15.
The actual process begins with the city secretary. Right. There's a form they need to fill out. So she needs to get in touch with them, say, hey, you want to do this come start the process.
Come start the process, yes. Councilman, I need a first motion to table item number 15. First motion by Mr. Cotulla, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 16, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by Jose Alberto Sanchez requesting water services on his address 249 North IH 35 located outside city limits.
Sir, would you like to give a presentation?
Thank you for coming in,
Councilman,
Jose.
City Administrator. Yeah, we were requesting water services at that property. Currently, the previous owner has shows properties to either side of the property, even in the back. So the water is coming, I think, from the meters in her property. And we had called the city, and they had sent a representative to assess the property, and he recommended that we needed 2 separate meters, one for the actual building and one for the RV park.
Is that your intentions in RV park?
Yes.
Okay.
It's already there. The building has water, and the RVs have the connections and water and everything, but we want to
separate the meters.
We want to have our own separate meters so we can disconnect from the neighbors.
They had a casino. The building was a casino, and then it was a tire shop. And then in the back, there was an RV park.
Oh, the one over
It's
here.
right across the street.
Yeah.
Right across I-35.
The Socorro's property?
Yes, next to it.
Yeah, next to it.
But on the vacant lot?
It's actually in the middle of her property. The lot is that he's purchased. So she owns this side, and then I believe her house.
And then she owns
is
the
on
back
other
part
side.
also,
And then she
all
owns
around
that.
it.
So you're wanting,
There's only one meter there, right? Or 2?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 for the house, 3 for her RV park. But the portion he purchased was under Socorro Nieves, and it didn't have a meter specific to that piece. So I don't know how the sale occurred to where this gentleman acquired it. But at one point, I think Ms. Nieves may have owned the whole thing,
Yes,
correct?
yes, at one point, yeah.
So
is it that yellow building that's there, right?
yes, sir, that
Okay,
one,
all right,
yes.
all right.
So in the back of that building, and then the property in the back of it.
Do you need a motion, then?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to say something, though. Generally, what the city does when a person in the county is requesting water and sewer services, that we ask them to annex into the city. And I think that should be part of the agenda item if it is approved.
Can you
tonight.
annex them? Are they contiguous?
With the city limits?
Yeah.
I would have to look. I think they are.
They're on the other side in
With
Wood Hills?
with the road that we have going through Peña. He's actually right across the street here. So I'd look at it, but I think that should be a
Is
requirement.
Peña annex on both sides, or is it just in the middle?
It's just the road. So Lone Star and Peña.
Yeah, we've been asking for voluntary annexation whenever you ask for water or city services. Would that be a problem for you?
I don't understand it, but if you can explain it to me.
Annexation means that right now that property that you purchase is not inside the city limits. It's outside the city limits. So therefore, you don't pay taxes to the city of Cotulla, property taxes. So since you're requiring the city to give you city services, we ask in return voluntary annexation so that you pay into the city taxes.
Yeah, no problem.
Your water rates would actually be lower.
Yeah, no problem. That'll be
Outside
better.
the city limits, you're paying double rate.
At first, when they told me it was not out of the city limits, it's like, I mean, I didn't understand it, but I guess the city was over here and.
Well, contingency to you
long
finding out if you're able to have them
Correct.
annexed.
So, because part of it is he does have to border the city limits.
Right.
So
So-
we would have to.
So he does want to voluntarily, if it's possible, then we move
Would
forward.
have to touch
Right.
the
Right,
city somewhere.
right. I seek a first motion to approve item number 16. First motion by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Sanchez, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
good luck.
Have a nice-
Moving on to item number 17, discussion and possible action to donate the old city hall signage that was located at the old location to Ms. Glenda Janik.
What is that?
This is the.
I guess it's this sign?
It's the wood sign that was hanging outside of City
I don't know,
Hall
do we-
in the breezeway.
It's right here. Maybe you wanna hold
Oh,
on?
that's it? Shoot, I thought it was way bigger than that. It looks big.
No, it's this one. It was hanging right in the entryway of Old City
So,
Hall.
so Miss Yannick has a family member that made and designed that sign and has sentimental value to her. And she put in a request that, you know, being that the county is using the building and the sign would probably be removed, if we would donate the sign to her.
She
Being-
was also city secretary.
Yeah, and she, of course, city secretary for
But
quite
isn't
some
that
years.
all part of having a historical district is to leave the buildings the way they were?
Well, we had to take
Well-
the sign down because the county's disconvening the elections office.
Right, they're gonna
So
put
the
election
sign
office
had to come down.
sign.
Is the county gonna be in there year round or?
Yeah, that'll be the elections administrator office.
There's a plaque on the wall that says City Hall, right?
Correct. There is on the outside.
But like the Benz signs also had to come down because it's no longer Benz. All
I
those
don't,
signs that
I
were
don't think
down.
you can really donate it to her, sell it to her for $10, something, and then have some kind of a transaction, because you can't just give somebody city property.
Any questions on that? Any,
That would be, that you would need to have some kind of
have
nominal.
paper trail on,
Yeah.
you know,
What was it? Yes.
$10 is fine. I mean, considering that she served our city and a family member, made it, is that correct? They're the ones that made it?
One of her, she said an uncle or
An uncle,
somebody
yeah,
in her
so-
immediate family.
So yeah, $10, $20, $10 is fine.
$10, and we'll just, we would
10
need
be
to,
fine, you know.
to have a bill of sale for that.
Let's seek a first motion for item number 17. First motion, Mr. Rodriguez. Second, Mr. Ayala. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 18, we're gonna table this. I need a first motion to table item number 18. First motion by Mr. Rodriguez. I need a second.
Aye.
Second by Mr. Satucci. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Skipping item number 19, moving on to item number 20. It is now 9:07, and this meeting is adjourned.